Honestly, right now the UK weather can go away. It is freezing cold, so a nice warm cup of tea just to get me ready. That is good. Warms the insides. You know when you feel warm, just go down the body. Feels... Welcome everyone, my name is Callum and I make tech, gaming and lifestyle content, and today we're looking into the world of camera lenses. This is a big one for me because I've always wanted to work with a company on camera lenses. I spend way too much money buying lenses and cameras and gear and stuff that I just don't need. I just want it. So when they reached out and said, hey, we got a lens for you, you want to give it a go? I said, yes, I do. You may have heard of this company before. They are called Meike or Meike, however you pronounce it, M-E-I-K-E. Quite a known brand for their budget friendly lenses. Now, normally they are all manual focus, but today we've got an autofocus full frame 85mm with an F1.8, which I love because I'm always up for a challenge. And having a few lenses that are 28mm to 200 or 28mm to 70, it's always nice to have a variant of lens styles, but with prime lenses, they just give you the best quality. That's my full opinion. But let's dive into the pros and the cons of this lens. Now, there are some quirks with this lens. A lot of people have said as well online, but I haven't noticed half of the stuff people are saying about this lens apart from two. So let's jump into that first. So with the two quirks that I found with the Meike 85mm F1.8, the first one, the motor is crazy loud, a stepping motor, so you do hear it every time it focused. You hear it. Now, it's not the first lens I've had that does this, and does it bother me? Not really, because at the end of the day I know the motor's working. Yes, it can be distracting. Yes, it can be noisy if you're trying to record in quiet spaces and all you can hear is the focus of, like, I don't know how the sound is, but you know what I mean? If you're making ASMR content, then that can be an issue. For me, again, I take a lot of photography for products, so it's not a massive drawback for me. The second issue that I found with this is the gasket ring for the manual focus. It sort of leaks like a lubricant. I don't know if it's an oil or if it is just some sort of lubricant to keep it from getting stiff, but I have actually looked this up and a few people have said about it, but they're the only two issues that I've noticed. The noise of the focus ring, that doesn't bother me. That's just a normal thing you're going to hear from majority of lenses. Yes, some can be quieter than others. You're paying a budget price, expect a budget product. But when it comes to the actual photography of this, now I'm not going to go into full depth of showing sharpness, dullness and so forth when it comes to actually taking the photos. That will be in a separate video, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Today I just want to go over the build quality, my overall experience of using this lens and who I think this is probably best for. So with it being 85mm, it is quite a, you know, a long distance. You have to stand far back. I take photography of products, I have to stand quite a distance away, but it does give the best results with bokeh. Now when it comes down to that F1.8, oh my, the bokeh is round as round. I expected the bokeh to have like these jagged lines and all sorts, but no, this thing just crispy circles all around. I was like, hello, what's this? Who are you? Where did you come from? So I took a couple of portraits of my children for Christmas. The backlight with the Christmas tree. Ooh, I was ecstatic when I saw them. They came out beautiful. Now, when it comes to sharpness of this thing, obviously being a prime lens, they do give you the best out of zoom lenses and primes. I was excited because this thing really performed absolutely amazing. So like a lot of other people said online, the focus breathing, the fact that they couldn't really focus on a certain object, it kept choosing different things and it wouldn't just pinpoint. I don't know what camera they were using. I never had this issue. Now I'm using the A7C II, so it has a couple of advantages when it comes to autofocus because of the AI processing chip. The reason I went for this camera was that main factor, because I wanted to have the versatility of, you know, autofocus on vehicles, autofocus on animals, autofocus on humans, and it just works a treat. I would suggest this camera for anyone looking at hybrid shooting. I don't even care if you have a Sony A1 or a Sony A1 Mark II or a Sony A7 IV or whatever it is. This camera here is exceptional for what it can do. That's why I knew this lens would work really well on this camera body. A lot of other people, yes, they did say their breathing of the autofocus was a bit out of it. They might have been using a whole different rig. So it does depend on what you're using. I know a lot of people said the A7 III or the A7S III have been amazing with it and they haven't had any issues with the focus breathing, so that could just be, again, that camera. So just take that with a pinch of salt when you do see it online. So I am going to go over some specs that I found on the Meike website just so you understand a little bit more about this lens. Now it does say on here that it's equipped with an STM stepping motor, so the lens brings you an experience of silent and smooth focusing. Now that's not exactly true, but this lens does feature a micro USB, so who knows, knows, they might be bringing out some more firmware in the future that will help with minimizing that noise and just giving it a bit more of an overall update, just to help with some of the things that people might have been noticing with the focus breathing and so forth. But moving on to the specifications anyway, the filter size we said is 67mm, the format is full frame, the focal length is 85mm, the aperture range is from f1.8 to 22, the lens diameter is 79.5mm, there is 9 aperture blades, and then with the lens structure there's 6 groups and 9 elements with a minimum focus distance of 0.85 m, an angle of view which is horizontal of 16, vertical of 24 and diagonal of 28.5, and this is weighing in at 386 grams. I mean, it's more in the center that the weight is coming in, but the rest of it, I mean, I could have this on my camera all day without even feeling like I need to put it down, compared to some zoom lenses that I can hold for about an hour and my arm's gone numb. Now if you buy this from the website, all you're going to get is the lens hood, the lens cap, things like that. But when you get it from the deal on Amazon with the link down below, you're also going to get a UV filter, which is basically just another piece of glass to help keep your lens protected. You're also then going to get this little carry bag and also a cleaning cloth. So for the price that you're paying, this is definitely worth it. But before we get into the conclusion, I just want to say there's one extra feature on this lens which I think is awesome, and that is the switch from manual to autofocus. So if you're like me and sometimes you just want to manual focus items because you're sick of the autofocus just not really hitting the right spot that you want it to, manual focus is an option and it works really well. Let's jump into the conclusion and who I think this is probably best for, or what it's best for, should I say. So overall thoughts on this lens. Yes, there are the 2 little issues that I found and also the ones online, but for me I'd probably say this is one of the best budget lenses I've found. So like me, I take product photography. Now I also do use the Meike, however you pronounce it, their little step up rings to get macro shots, and it works a treat. So using it with this lens, pair them together, gives you some crispy shots. But with it being that 85mm focal length, it's great for portraits, I will say, probably car photography if you're at a distance, but when it comes down to your close knit shots like this, it's not going to be good. If you're going to be using it as content creation, the camera's going to have to be at quite a distance just so you get your head in frame, because at the moment I'm using a 20mm and it's at about arm's length. If I was using the 85mm, all you'd be seeing is behind me and nothing would just be blur. Keep that in mind. If you want to get into content creation, that lens probably isn't for you, but if you are into any sort of photography, street photography, landscape photography, product photography, or even if you're a videographer doing weddings, events and things like that, then yes, that would be an absolute bargain for a lens. Just know with that focal length, it's quite a distance, more than you'd expect. When it comes down to user preference, again, that's up to you. If you just want to add it to your library of lenses for the price that it is, it definitely is worth it. So if you have any other questions or queries about this lens, or if you want me to check out anything else in another video, please let me know in the comments below. If this has helped you in any way decide whether this lens is for you, let me know in the comments as well. Leave a like, hit subscribe and notification bell, ready for when I make the video to show you how to use the lens for product photography. But other than that, my name's been Callum, Capture, Create, Captivate, and I'll see you all in the next video.